are now listening to United 96 Podcast on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. United 96 here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
This is a preview.
Ted here, John here. Oh my man! Oh my goodness! We're here to be your guides here. We are here. Hit us up on Twitter. Well, too late now. We're already recording, but please let us know how you're feeling. We hope you're doing well. We hope you guys are recovering after another really awful defeat. Before we get into that, John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend?
It was not great, but not even just life, not even soccer stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was. You said it was
rough?
No,
that's me. I'm sorry. All that noise is me. I apologize. Twitch. I was trying to get on Twitch, and there was just some. Anyway, yeah, no, the soccer wasn't good, but also everything else was also similarly disappointing. So we're onward and upward. All things on the better today. I can't complain too much. About yourself.
Yeah. By the way, folks, we know we should say for the live stringers that are joining us, you might be wondering where all the pop and circumstance and everything else is. We are going back to the old ways. Unfortunately, producer Brian could not be here to grace us with his presence and his awesome producer work that he does behind the scenes.
For a good reason too. Producer Brian is getting he had some house troubles, and the house troubles are getting remedied now. So he'll finally go back to not living. I think he doesn't have his refrigerator didn't work, something crazy.
Yeah,
but now he's back to action. So that's good.
Back to action. So yes, very, very hopefully all his will be resolved and he will be able to return to us. But my weekend was okay. Sporting wise, not great. I mean, obviously, I watched my now Bundesliga team, formerly to Bundesliga team FC Heidenheim, blow a 2-goal lead, which maybe was a harbinger of things to come. For my sports teams, I thought it was going to get really bad too when Liverpool went down 1-0 to Newcastle, but then they managed to rally their way back for a 2-1 victory. You
knew being a fan of a recently promoted team was going to give you some heartache, and they're doing that.
Yeah, it's it comes with the territory. I'm also a fan of DC United, and that's also similarly giving me plenty of heartaches and plenty of terrible feelings. But let's get right into it, John. I think without further ado. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about DC United. I don't think we have any other news and notes we need to touch or anything like that.
Other than DC United is worth $700 million and is it's top 5 most valuable franchise. I think number 4. Again, you probably all saw this. This article gets written every year. It usually is pretty crazy. However, normally I will tell you the sports valuations are baloney. But that valuation is mostly about the real estate surrounding Audi Field and the ownership group's somehow finesse of getting those rights out of the city when the stadium was built. So I would maybe trust those numbers. I would say that I wouldn't necessarily call it DC United is worth $700 million, but DC United Holding Company is probably definitely worth $700 million.
But yeah, and apparently they want to just forgo all that and move to Baltimore, if you believe some of the random rumors you've been hearing over the side. Which, by the way, guys, I won't say. I guess my sources is not exciting or anything like that, as maybe some of what you might have heard. But I have kind of asked around a little bit to some other people, and the story is not true. If you read it from a certain random anonymous poster, no, the money too big, and it's almost a ridiculous concept in general to think they're doing that. Now, I have heard that they are planning on moving youth academies as well as an MLS Next team out there, so that'll be interesting to watch. I guess how much of their youth academy is moving to Baltimore. They have basically, and the reason behind that, of course, is they've seceded that territory to Philly. So. Yeah, but don't believe everything you read.
The other bit of news and notes that I want to make sure that I remedied, because we trafficked in rumor last week about the Inter Miami game potentially not being included in the season ticket package. I don't want to claim the power of the fact that there was an email that went out from Danita Johnson the next week because we potentially shared some incorrect information. I don't want to claim that that's what happened. It's certainly possible, though. If you think, if you look at the news landscape covering this team, the Miami game will be included in your ticket package if you're a season ticket holder, and it will be at Audi Field. It will not be at FedEx Field. It will be at Audi Field. You will also get an opportunity to get a premium friendly, which means not Real Betis or like pick random team that we've been facing the last couple of years. Probably Audi also. So that's good. That means you can still buy your season tickets and then probably make 75% of it back on scalping your Inter Miami game. So
yeah,
that's good news.
We'll see where that game is. I think we've heard some talk about it possibly being moved, but it sounds like it'd still be a part of
the email. The email specifically says it will be at Audi Field.
Gotcha. So that's one thing I could see. I don't know if I buy that they're including the ticket package. I could see them maybe looking to.
Maybe all I can say is that we've reported a rumor, and then less than 5 days later, there was a denial from the highest ranks of DC United business case. I hope it's at Audi Field. I think it would be cool to have that many people. That would be the most crazy fan experience at Audi Field since the playoff game. So yeah, it might be worth going. I would probably sell the tickets. I would like to have otherwise free season tickets for DC United, so I probably would sell them if I had them, but.
Yeah, I want to get to maybe a question from Mr. Gregory Kochton. Audi Field was outdated when it opened. How long before they tried to build a new stadium? Either soon or never. I would say very much close to never. I think they've already discussed. I believe Pablo's dropped. They're looking at expansions to 24,000 seats. I say the outdatedness of the stadium maybe comes from some of the things they had to cut when they were trying to rush to open it. I think there are plenty of things you could do with that stadium to modernize it, to make it better. I think you could easily fully roof it. You could get an actual roof on either ends, and also the scoreboard up on the north end, I think, is something I would expect to come based on what space is there. So plenty of things. I don't think calling it an outdated stadium is, in my opinion, a little bit over the top.
Bare bones is certainly fair.
Yeah.
I think Erector Set Stadium, which many people call it, it's not quite Crew Stadium, but it also is. I think Pablo really hits this frequently whenever he goes to other stadiums. Like, it is for sure the most boring new stadium in the league, and it's not close. Like, that is almost inarguable, and there are good reasons for that. Yeah. And there's a million excuses that are valid and true for that. But from an aesthetic and feature perspective, undeniable. It is just the facts. I will say that Audi Field was included. So in the last, I think 2 weeks, there was an article I saw in the Post about the mayor of DC, Mayor Bowser, put together a committee to look at upgrades to all of the sports stadiums in the city. And Audi Field was included in that list. And the group was to figure out what city money should go to making upgrades and refurbishments to the stadiums that are in the city. Clearly, that is mostly about the RFK site and trying to figure out what that is, but it's also about what is the name of it? Used to be the Verizon Center.
I think it's still
Capital One Arena.
Yeah, Capital One Arena. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm old. It used to be the MCI Center, and then it was the Verizon Center. So anyway, that stadium where the Caps and the Wizards play, that is in need of major upgrades and repair. I would say more seats too, because Caps tickets are $1 bazillion because there aren't enough seats. But Audi Field was included in that, even though they were new. I don't know what might come out of that honeypot for Audi Field, but it's certainly something to be talked about.
I mean, there's plenty of things you could look at. The easement was the big thing. I think you could look to renovate some other things. I don't agree. I mean, I will say yes, maybe somewhere in between Crew. Honestly, I get a lot of the vibe when I go to it when I went to Rio Tinto. A little bit more space, obviously, but kind of very basic, not a whole lot.
Just without the beautiful mountains in the background.
Yeah, no, we got the Capitol buildings,
that's true. I would prefer mountains personally.
Yeah, personally, me too. All right, guys, we're avoiding it. We should just jump right into it. We should jump right in talking.
This is a feature of 2023. I think if you go back and listen to our shows, post DC United games, we're like, let's talk about art. What do you think about art? What's your favorite school of art?
Yeah. But I mean, to answer your question, Greg, to sort of go back to your question, really answer it, it's way too soon. Maybe 20, 30 years from now, we'll hear some talk. But I think right now, for the foreseeable future, until possibly the heat death of the earth,
Olivia has taken over my spot on the show as a legacy. then they'll be considering a new stadium.
Yeah, pretty
Yep.
much. Pretty much. All right, let's talk about it. DC United 3-1 loss to Philadelphia. This was a game I think we all kind of looked at and we said, well, okay, you look at where these teams are in the standings, you look at their history, you look at everything else, you would say, well, maybe DC has no shot here. They're going to get killed in this game. But then you look at the past two performances. I have sort of thought about this game. I have compressed this game. I had the individual mistakes were bad. We'll get into those. But I also think Wayne Rooney, in my opinion, this is the first time. I think one of the few times, or really one of the only times I can sort of directly point at him and say, you overthought this game, you overmanaged it, you tried to, I think, pull a surprise you tried to pull a surprise or a fast one on the Philadelphia coach Jim Curtin, and it failed miserably and it failed horribly. This team was completely not just past the individual mistakes, just in the attack they looked weak. He tried to shoehorn Chris Durkin into a right wing back. Chris Durkin gets a lot of criticism. I think his criticism is because he is horribly misplayed, horribly mismanaged on this roster. He's being asked to do things that are not in his skill set, that are not in his skill tree. And I think he suffers because of that. I don't know why you would think Chris Durkin at right wing back is going to be able to get into the attack and contribute. There were a couple times he looked like, I think one time he got the ball and literally just kind of tripped over it. I mean, it's just not his skill set to be in that. He can shoot the ball, like he can get the ball and he can crack a shot from, several feet out, but that's when he's playing in the center, when he's, sort of comfortable in that sort of destroyer role. To me, that was a massive mistake. And also, of course, Assad starting over Ted Ku-Dipietro. For right now, I will say, okay, maybe Ted Ku-Dipietro's not fit. But if Wayne Rooney's saying, no, I like Emil Assad over Ted Ku-Dipietro, then I have to ask what he's watching right now. Those were kind of, to me, the biggest egregious mistakes that I think Wayne Rooney made. I don't know if you feel the same way, John, or what you thought about.
Yeah, the lineup was the lineup. I think he probably wants to leave Ted to sort of earn his minutes back, basically, after being out injured for a while. I think he did very quickly. We'll talk about that. Yeah, and I think we talked about Chris Durkin a lot this season about what is his best position and why is he, whatever it is, he's not playing it. He's playing every other position than that, and it's to his detriment. I think that this to empathize with Wayne a little bit, the wingback situation is just a dumpster fire all over the place. Injuries that have occurred.
We should add Andy Nahar not on the injury list, but did not make the 18 for this game.
He was called up by the Honduras national team. I don't know if that is why, but he was, and I think he's reporting. So either way, that's something. You mentioned, I think, on Twitter, like this team needs to think about what they're going to do with Andy Nahar next year, about his lack of availability. And I think when we did our roster breakdown, we said keep him on the team because he's not making enough money to have to be cleared for that reason. But certainly you have to plan around him not being there ever, which is what it's turning into. I think that I predicted a 3-0 loss before the game. I just thought that we played them so well both times on the road, right? We played them twice, and the luck had to run out eventually. I think the real struggle here is that even if the defense held again, we're still not creating offensive chances the way we need to. I said before, if Benteke doesn't score, this team is just moribund. This team will not get points. It just won't happen. Wunder goals aside, by 80th minute substitutes, this is a real problem, and it's not one that's going to get solved this year, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean to me it just kind of feels like when you watch this team into attack, they almost get an opportunity to maybe go quickly or to hit quickly on a counter, and then they kind of stop and they play it around. They find either Santos or in this case Durkin all the way on the right side. They play a listless ball over the top to try to find Benteke. It's not accurate. The whole attack just looks very out of sync. And I guess part of my frustration is if you're going to be a team that's going to play direct, then you need to play quickly, because if you're slow in playing direct, then there's a higher chance you're going to be very predictable. And, I think they improved in the second half. Again, they were down 3-0. So, I think Philly kind of sat in a little more comfortably. I think they brought in Ruan, who I think brings that directness and that quickness sort of to get out wide more than Durkin did. And I think it sort of gave Philly a few more problems. I think they adjusted a little bit too to try to get back into the game, obviously pushing up higher. Pirani, I thought, was solid again. I thought he showed, again, some bright spots. I think for him, it's just a matter of, I think his biggest detriment right now is he seems like he's there because he's a very skilled player, and you kind of have to put him in there and you can see his skill. The problem is, it's like, I'm not sure what he's being told as far as what his role is, connecting with his teammates. It's really why I want to get a guy like Ted Ku-Dipietro out there, because I think they can develop. They play roles that I think they could see sort of eye to eye, and maybe create some more question marks and some headaches that would then open up a Benteke, because that's really the problem right now. And Benteke should have had a goal. He had a cross in the back net. He gets that header. DC go on a run. They get a goal. Maybe they see themselves back into this game. So.
And that's typical, right? I mean, he's not been getting the number of chances he was earlier in the season, but he still gets one or two a game that he could very reasonably convert, and he's not. Yeah.
Well,
RJR has a lot of questions here, and I think they're, we can walk through the game and what happened in the sub patterns, and we can do all that, and we will. But I think there are larger questions here about formation choice and player selection that I think are probably more interesting. RJR and DC says, with Victor Paulson gone, should DC look to go back to a back four? Personally, would rather have another midfielder than Heinz Ike. I think there was Jason Anderson had a post up right after the game looking at what the stats have looked like in those two formations throughout the year. Goal differential is certainly one. Let me find that. Give me your thoughts while I look for that, Ted. What do you think? That's the way to go?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think Heinz Ike was the issue. I think they had, you could maybe count one bad breakdown, I guess, defensively. But to me, that was more, to me, that also looks like, I have to go back and look at their yellow cards, but that second goal, there's a way to stop that. It's find the, nearest player goes, foul the other attacker, take the yellow, and you save yourself a goal potentially. That second goal was really just kind of a terrible mistake. The mistake on Williams was an individual error. I don't see any issue with that. And then again, Miller makes a pretty bad blunder. Really, he comes out unless he wants to win the ball. I think his confidence is, for all intents and purposes, shot. I do not. I think this might be the last game we see him, if I'm being honest, because
Which is wild considering the confidence that Wayne had in the player to select him to the All-Star game as a coach's selection. And I mean, granted, Wayne doesn't really care. So if he was doing this as like a benefit to his own team to give him a boost of confidence, I don't begrudge him that. But it is, like, just from an outsider's perspective, pretty wild. I have the tweet. And also this is going to support your assertion. DC United in a back four, 1 win, 2 draws, 7 losses, negative 12 goal differential. DC in a back 3 or 5, 9 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses, plus 5 goal differential. So I think there is a desire. The thought is we lost Lewis O'Brien and we are no longer commanding the midfield in any sort of way. We're not transitioning quickly. We are not putting the ball in dangerous places that are not just wide crosses, the way that the midfield is currently humming. And I think it feels natural to suggest sort of like, well, the formation is a fault here. We need to change it. But I think the stats don't bear that out, unfortunately. We're just not scoring goals. We're not converting the chances. And then we are, I think, probably depending too much on those wingbacks who are not the offensively dangerous players you need to have to create the chances. They're not. Julian Gressel isn't walking back through this door. Mm-hmm. That's just not what's happening.
Yeah, and this, I mean, this gets into, I'm going to bring it up again. This is why I am so desperate with seeing Pirani out there. I am so desperate for a for a Ted Ku-Dipietro, because Ted Ku-Dipietro will dribble at players. He will go at players. He will try to link up, do quick passes, connects. He will try to bring, give teams some chances to think, and cause teams to collapse, which can open up spaces out wide. Instead of having to hit those long balls, now you are a little bit narrower, and you can suddenly, instead of crossing from between the 18-yard box and the
The
18-yard box and the end line, you are crossing from the 18-yard box line or inside the box, which is a much easier cross to make. And we saw, I think, actually, when I can't remember when the Benteke goal happened, whether it was after the Ted sub or before the Ted sub, but the team played a little bit more narrow, and Mateus Click got on the end line. He was on the end line, plays probably the best cross of the night, and Benteke is able to get onto it, hammers it, should have scored. It's really like that. There's literally, everybody started yelling at him, and I'm like, what do you want him to do there? He puts it exactly where he should, and it's a good save, or it's a goal, because man, that sure looked like that crossed the line. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think RGNDC has Rooney given up. I don't know. I don't think so. And then also he's asking, should DC just start playing young players instead of playing veterans? It isn't getting any results.
I think we're approaching that. We're approaching that time very, very quickly.
Yeah, we'll see I mean, honestly, the team has talked about this kind of homestand. Now it's 4 games in the next 5. If they win all those games, I don't think you'll see much change. I mean, obviously, then we're talking about a completely different team.
Correct.
This is. I think the Philly game, you walked into it thinking, well, we could still lose this game. Now it's coming up on, you've got Chicago, who you're fighting with for a playoff spot. You've got away against Charlotte, who you're fighting with for a playoff spot. Home against, I think then you've got home against San Jose. West Coast team. West Coast is not very good. Again, also traveling cross country. I mean, you need 9 points. These need to be 9-point games, in my opinion. I'll maybe take 7 if it's a draw against Charlotte or something like that. Sure, I'll take that. That'll be fine. But you need to start picking up some wins, especially at home.
I am not future casting at all. I am full of dread until Benteke scores a goal.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking about playoffs. I am more in the mindset of like, all right, so in 3 weeks when we have no wins out of those 9 points, how many games is Christian Fletcher going to go 90 minutes? Hopefully all of them. I'd like to see him in all of them. Same for Ted. I'd call Matai back, Jacob Green, like really, like, because I think at that point, I missed playoffs. There is absolutely no reason to bring Wayne back. You shut that out, and then you say,
I think right? if they miss playoffs, I think you will see
an exodus.
You will see Wayne Rooney has been relieved of his duty as manager. Go ahead, buddy. We're already thinking next year, and I think you'll see Carl Robinson promoted as interim coach for the rest of the year. And that
you think as soon as the magic number hits,
that's it. I do. What is the point? I mean, are you going to bring him back after if they miss the playoffs? Did he do enough to say that you would bring him back?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. No. I'm saying as far as what his commitment would be to see the season out, and I don't think this ownership has not made firings to make fans happy since Ben Olsen was fired. Everything else has been for other reasons, and that's why you would let Wayne go earlier, is to give the fans a pound of flesh and say change is coming. Yeah. I think they'll just say, we owe this guy money to the end of the year. You're going to coach till the end of the year. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, this leads actually, I think, into a question we got on our Discord from Raya77. Will Wayne have a Benny-like resurgence at his next club, or is Rooney actually a bad coach? I think Rooney, there are a lot of similarities I think you can draw from Ben Olsen as coach and Wayne Rooney as coach, especially when they've been first starting out. They're both, I think, very good at player management. I think they're good at motivating. You see all players, want to come play for him, happy with him. I don't think you see really any of those complaints, of working too hard. I think he's certainly a player's coach. Tactically, he is still figuring it out. And I think tactically, I think this game is a perfect example of a coach that still doesn't quite understand tactically what he has and tries to do things that I don't think fit. I also will say, I mean, it seems like, we talk about the Assad playing in there. You've also signed a striker in Ferrado. Why not give him a run out there? You give Emil Assad, who's given you nothing this year. There does appear to be, and we've seen it now. People talk about Pines versus Birnbaum. We see people talk about how if you were on his team in 2018, he seems to show some preference to you. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into that or anything like that, but that's what it felt like when I saw Assad up there. I'm like, what's the commonality here? Because Assad has done nothing to say that he deserves to start. The commonality is he played in 2018. I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt.
I don't know about that. I think the thing that I think most about Wayne is Wayne's value to a team was much higher when he was still playing, not just because of his skill set, but I feel like his playing brought the levels up around him. Him coaching does not appear to do that. And that, I mean, it makes sense. It's somewhat logical. I think Inter Miami is better with Messi as a player than they would be as him as a coach. It just doesn't get the same juice being managed by the legend versus playing with the legend. So I think he has not given up per se, but it's the zest is gone. I think there is certainly no enthusiasm, and there shouldn't be. The performances have been crap, and it's just not been. He was disappointed with the transfer window. He's disappointed with Taxi. He's disappointed with the coach, with the refereeing in the league. He's not having a good time. I think he's ready to go home, and I'm ready for that to happen too. I'm ready for what the next step is going to be. Can we talk about sort of the? I think we mentioned Birnbaum. How do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about the game, or I think we've sort of like shifted a field.
I mean, it's. I think we've said everything we need to say. Let's just mention great goal from Ted Ku-Dipietro. I mean, just
goal of the week nominee type of goal. I don't know if it actually was, but
yeah, I think a goal in a garbage goal, so to speak, wouldn't get it. But I mean, I think it shows the promise he has. It shows the ability he has. I am excited. The exit of Taxi. If the exit of Taxi has meant anything, and it means that we, other than the strong statement against racism and racist remarks, obviously, but from a team perspective, if it means that Ted Ku-Dipietro can kind of use these next few games to make that next step, and you can see him get goals, you can see him get assists, link up with Pirani, and give us some sort of a foundation where we can say, okay, we may not have made the playoffs. Rooney's gone. Maybe we got a new GM or a new director of soccer operations.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I'll get into that a little bit too. Of kind of, I think there might be some hope there if this goes south. But anyway, maybe there's something you can kind of build on with this team. So
I think the GM question links up to the next thing I want to talk about. So after the game, obviously very disappointed, angry fan base is tired of losing, tired of having little to no hope or organization or thoughts of the future. Steve Birnbaum and the rest of the team goes over to clap the fans off, as they do, win or lose. And he got sort of yelled, "Not my captain," by some of the supporters groups. F-bombs flying at him. Listen, there is a lot of anger at Steve Birnbaum because he is the name that people still know. This team has turned over so much. He's the only guy that's left from him and Andy from the good old days, or him, Andy, and maybe Chris. I don't know, but if you're looking for a token to get mad at on the field, that's who you're gonna yell at. Okay? It's his fault because he's been there. We have looked at the stats. People don't care about the stats. We have looked at the other holes in the roster, the other leaky elements on the boat. People don't care about that. He's become the target. Yeah, scapegoat. And he's getting older. He's slower. He's not as good as he used to be. Undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the problem. And I think that I read this. I heard about this after the fact. People are going to do what they're going to do. People are mad. They're going to lash out where they want to lash out. Lash out where it should be happening. Lash out at the front office. Lash out at ownership. Lash out. If you're going to lash out to anybody on the field, lash out at Wayne. Like the players are doing what they can do. I understand I've seen in other places people are still mad about Steve's role in the last coach being fired and sort of hit.
I think that's playing into it. I think there's a lot of things. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know if it's like an associative issue, but, obviously he refused. If you don't know the story, reported when Hernan Losada was still coach, reportedly refused to travel for the Open Cup game, didn't want to travel for the Open Cup game. And I think Losada had burned a lot of bridges up until then. And probably if he had said, fine, I will go, Losada still would have been fired after that game. I think it was pretty clear at that point. But, I think he gets pulled in for a lot of the blame there. I think his comments after the game talked about wanting to have fun, which did not sit well. There were also, I think there were some fans, I think a little bit unfairly, I think it was at a Meet the Team event. There's a lot of projecting going on with him. It's like, oh, he doesn't look like he wants to be here. Some people, I'm sorry to say, yes, is it his favorite thing to do? I think there are some players that can mask it better than others. And I don't
enjoyed it in the past. He has enjoyed it very much in the past. Would you want to be around this team right now? Would you want to, after that performance, go and then face the music? No, absolutely wouldn't. It's human nature.
Yeah. And so, I think the latest thing might've been, there were some comments that were made about RFK, and my response about how he said, oh, he didn't like RFK. And my response to that would be, okay, yes, all of us loved RFK. We loved to go to Lot 8. We loved to go to the games. Steve Birnbaum saw none of that. He had to go do a job there.
Steve worked there, right?
He had to travel around to all these other stadiums getting built, all these other new weight rooms, seeing all these facilities. And then he had to play at RFK from 2004. Cut the guy some slack on that. Okay. Yeah, cut the guy some slack.
I think it's the difference. Steve Birnbaum is not.
I'm sure if you asked him, he had tons of good memories about RFK. By the way,
sure. 100%. Steve Birnbaum is not Ben Olsen. He's not going to embody the club in that way as a Bill Hamid, who grew up. Steve went to college in California and grew up out there and got drafted here and has played here his whole career. That's his tie. I believe met his wife out here, maybe not, but like has made a family out here and it lives out here, and his whole professional career is here. But he's not going to have the same fan connection that you're going to have. He's not going to bleed the club the way he's the captain, and his commitment is to his teammates and the team in general. But it's just not going to be that way. And if that's what you're looking for from him, you're going to be disappointed. By the way, when he leaves, there's no one else that's going to be that either. Like that doesn't exist anymore. This club doesn't have those. But anyway, people, we're not tone police. We're not, scolds.
And when we say I understand where the anger is. I totally understand where it is. I think it's being directed. I think we both think it's being directed maybe incorrectly. And
fire Casper.
Yeah, there should be a chance of Casper out when we lose games like this. There should be signs brought into the stadium, even if they get
they'll be confiscated, but worth a shot. Give it a go.
Yeah, and hey, make that a story. That becomes a story. If you start bringing stuff in and it's getting compensated, you make that a story, and it becomes it honestly. I will say I think there needs to be, and I know it's very easy to me say sitting here in Lynchburg, Virginia, not going to games regularly, but I think if you want to see Dave Casper gone, I know there's the online, there's the Twitter pressure. There needs to be real in fan stadium pressure that's brought. There needs to be chance of Casper out that get reported. There needs to be real anger, not directed at Steve. If that's what you want to get change, it starts at the top, and that's what you need to do.
Yep. And also, I will say I'm here for the Ben Olsen revisionism that's going on in the DC United fan base. I love it. I think longtime listeners of the show will know that Ted and I were the last ones to abandon ship. And at the time, we took a lot of shit for it. And I think that now people are seeing there were reasons for certain. At the end, he was burned out on it and he needed to leave. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that he was just a horrible coach and like it was a matter of just get somebody else in there and we're going to start winning trophies again. Evidence points the other direction, and he's doing very well in Houston. I don't really care how Hernan's doing in Montreal. That's not really. I don't have the commitment there. I don't have the emotional commitment.
He's doing okay. I think for him, it's going to be can it last into next year?
Right.
He's getting the same praises he got when he was here at DC.
Right. Houston's in 5th. They are outperforming expectations, and people are getting to see like there was people were going wild
too. They'll be in Champions League next year too.
People were going wild about Ben like pumping up in front of the fans at the end. that's him, man. Like you're getting to see that, and it's stark to see sort of what it is now here, right? Like that's not Wayne. Like there's no reason to do it right now. They're not providing the reasons to do it, but like it's just different. There's the difference between somebody who bleeds the club forever for his whole adult life and is part of his, whatever. But yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
We've gotten 2 questions about Donovan Pines, so we should probably
go ahead.
address that. You got to pay the toll of that, which I think is a troll reference. Have you discussed why Donnie Pines isn't getting playing time? Somebody else asked why Steve Birnbaum instead of Donovan Pines, or why has Rooney stopped playing Pines? There's no reporting. There's certainly no reporting about it. He's on an injury report. He wasn't making conventional Donovan Pines mistakes before he was sort of sent to the bench. Don't know. I don't think I bet it won't be too long until we see him again, but clearly I think what they were trying to go with some continuity from week to week to see if that would sort of tighten up the back, just having players who are playing with each other every week, but hasn't been the case. So I think I think after a 3-goal performance, you might see him in the next game.
I think it was more of I think you're right about that. I think it was, we're seeing Rooney may rely a little bit on experience, maybe seeing what he has to in a guy like Brendan Hines. Like, I don't know. I'll be curious to see what changes we see come out. I think we could see Pines possibly step in for Williams. I think after his mistake, I could see something like that. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting week coming up. Also, by the way, Chicago on short rest. They will be playing at home against Vancouver on Wednesday. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's see if that makes a difference.
Jason score bust.
Yeah, Jason, also from our Discord, by the way, you can join it. Look at our Twitter page, top link, click it, join it. Have some fun. We have some good discussions there. If you had to pick between either a stronger, more committed youth pipeline, better scouting to pull players from overseas, which is the better route for fixing this roster, ¿por qué no los dos on that front? I would say a stronger. I mean, honestly, if you had to pick one, I want the stronger youth pipeline. I think that's what I want. Yeah,
number of reasons, right? Like I think it costs less.
Mm-hmm.
It pays you dividends down the line in the form of resale. It gives you an identity. It gives you long-term cohesiveness. The other stuff is a dice roll because everyone's trying to do that. So, we've talked about it before, like where we want to see this team develop itself is be somebody consistently.
The hype around Ted Ku-Dipietro, the hype around Donovan Pines amongst the fan base, at least again, purely online discourse, is so much higher than even the hype around Pirani. I mean, and again, that can change when they go out and sign big players. If they spend $20 million on a signing, then obviously that changes things. But just, I think in this area in particular, we do have a certain affection for stars that sort of we get to see grow up. We get to talk about, we talk about Ovechkin with the Capitals all the time. We talk about Tom Wilson right now, I think is sort of in that new frame. Nick Backstrom as well. Those are players that came up from draft picks that stayed here, that grew here. And I think DC, and DC talks about it as well. We've talked about it. I mean, Bill Hamid, big reason Bill Hamid and Bill Hamid and Steve Birnbaum are having, I would say, similar career trajectories as far as where their skill is and where their skill is now. But you're not seeing anyone show any ill will towards Bill Hamid. It's all love for Bill Hamid because he was an academy guy, because he grew up here, because he was immersed in the culture.
And because he left before his decline was continued on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
I think if Bill was coming and if Bill came in and was having Sergio Romo level performances, I think the pitchforks would be out for him as well. By the way, Bill Hamid, unattached, has left Memphis.
Yeah.
And is now, I think that might be it. I would be surprised if there's another step there, but who knows? Bill, if you're listening, and we know you do, let us know what your next steps are. We'd love to talk about that.
Brendan Cartwright asks, is Jeremy Correa going to the Antonio Bustamante route?
Which was the name I was trying to grasp for last week, and I was like, the guy who plays in Bolivia, he had a brother also. Yes, I think so. I think he's not been, and certainly this is maybe a good question for our next in line friends. He has not seemed to impress for Loudon. He's not an every week starter, and if he's not able to impress on that level at this point on subsequent years, that might be a challenge for him to move anywhere else. He might be let go.
20 years old. So
was Bustamante, I believe, might have been 21 when they let him go.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be a certain way to see. He has 28 matches so far in 2023 for Loudon, so he's still making appearances. I think the next in line folks would be the ones to answer that. Who you can talk to on our Discord if you got questions about Loudon and what they're seeing. They follow that team pretty closely. They're great guys to talk to about that. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Hopefully better days lying ahead. Obviously next week will be the holiday weekend, so we will see what our show schedule will look like. We all have plans, we all have things we want to do. We are working stiffs of the world, and we get a Labor Day that the United States has blessed us with. One day, that's all they give us.
One day we'll quit our day jobs and only be the podcaster for the perennially middle of the pack DC United.
Yes. Oh, perennially, please. Middle of the pack would be an improvement.
I know, you're right. I was going silver linings on it.
Well, we didn't talk about too, and maybe before we get in, I did want to say, I think I've kind of thought about, we talk about the trajectory of what Ben Olsen had. So both Ben Olsen and Dave Casper exited the RFK Stadium era. Both of them, I think, Ben Olsen certainly was given a chance. He was like, all right, that was crap. We're going to get you the team you want. We're going to do what you want to do. And we'll see what, for all intents and purposes, they did. They went out, they signed Wayne Rooney, they brought in talent. Didn't work out. And maybe for reasons, obviously we've sort of made clear, didn't work out. They then tried to give him another rebuild. It didn't work. You're entering sort of a similar thing right now with Dave Casper. He got Ben Olsen. They said, okay, you haven't had an opportunity to go out and find a coach. Go find your coach. They went out and they found Hernan Losada. Crashed and burned, didn't work out. Then all right, we're going to do the whole assistant coach part of the, with obviously the rebuild there. Now we're in sort of our second era of that. And that might've been, I think there's still questions whether this was a decision from the front office, whether this was a decision from ownership. I think you would be hard pressed for Dave Casper to not maybe be on board with this. They went out, they signed players. I think he has been given the full reins of the transfer market. Wayne Rooney has said he's upset. I'm sure he's expressed this maybe to ownership. I don't know. I am not unconvinced. I have to think if this does not happen this year, if DC misses the playoffs and Dave Casper is not fired, then I am with everybody else in saying that he's never going to leave. I think we are close as we ever are going to get with how bad things have gotten in the transfer market, how bad the management, the direction, everything about this team is just a complete mess. You would have to be absolutely blinders on. And I know so many people criticize the ownership. They say, oh, they don't care. They're just in it for the real estate, everything like that. If they didn't care, they could easily be like Steve Kroenke. They could say, nope, we're not going to spend any money. Here, you get, $2 million to go buy a couple DPs, but that's all you get, or $5 million or however much you get. They would not be putting the investment that I think we're seeing them put into if they did not care at least a little bit and understand that a better team also grows your valuation, by the way. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're fourth in spending, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they spent money. They spent money.
Rich people don't like to waste money. So if they're going to spend it anyway, it costs you very little to put a new decision maker in place and say, let's give it a shot. The problem for them is that they don't trust themselves on the hiring front. Yeah. From a front office perspective. They've been burned from their perspective twice. They got burned with Lucy Rushton, they think, and they got burned with Hernan Losada. And they always talk about having to bring in an external firm to evaluate those things. Because I think Jason Levian's credit, like he's like, I don't know, like this is not my thing. I don't have a guy that I trust, a right hand man here other than Dave Casper. And if I'm looking to replace Dave Casper, I need somebody else to help me out. So yeah, I think you're right. I think they do care. To your point, like it could very much easily, the transfer window could look a lot different for us. I mean, granted, the players that we got in aside from Pirani are kind of in that vein, kind of in like the spare parts vein, but that's not typical. Benteke, that is not a spare part, really.
Honestly, Honestly, go out. What I want to see, what I'd love to see this team do is go out and be bold. Go grab, honestly, shoot. There's a certain coach. There's a certain coach. Now he might still want to coach, but I'm wondering after the Toronto experience, how much he wants to coach. There's a guy, Bob Bradley, who I think could be a excellent director of soccer operations, a guy who can bring that identity, who knows what to do as far as that is in there. Go out and grab him. I don't know. Be bold. Do something. Because right now, sticking with what you got, I would honestly, I appreciated the Losada move, even though it didn't work, because man, it at least looked like the team was trying something different and new.
It was outside of the box, and I think Bob Bradley would be not outside of the box.
I think it would be bold still. I think it would get people around the league talking. I think it would maybe show some seriousness. I think it's evidently clear that the problems in Toronto extend far beyond Bob Bradley.
For sure.
And I just think, honestly, I think they would benefit from him. I don't think he's an awful coach. I think he's been in some bad situations, both at Swansea and at Toronto, that have maybe hurt things a little bit. But I mean, he was still very successful in LA. I don't know. I think there's the player out there. Honestly, I mean, you can go and be aggressive, and you can go find somebody. Do a coup, pull something that would shock the league, that would make the league turn and stay focused. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think this offseason is obviously the big question is going to be, is Rooney going to stay? I would say at this point, probably not. Even if this team squeaks into the playoffs, unless there's some sort of magical MLS Cup run that comes with that playoff, doubt it. I think he's finished. He's finished here. But yeah. I was just kind of a last aside. I felt like we needed to talk about it and say so. Anyway, I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're on the live stream, stick around. We're going to talk to Spirit next. If you're listening on our United 96, go check out Kindred Spirits. We talk Washington Spirit and everything like that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.
Vamos.